And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Aussies Taking Over the NBA. It is Thursday night, 10th of September. The bubble is bubbling along. No Aussies left in the bubble, but we've got a fair bit to talk about tonight. We'll talk about the rest of the bubble, but of course, the big one. Do you want to announce it?
Yeah, Ben Simmons was making first team all defense as a guard.
Beast.
Which is
Deserved.
pretty
Thoroughly deserved.
Man, defensive player of the year would have been quite well deserved, to be honest with you. You know, blocks, steals, deflections, what he's done and winning games down the stretch on defensive plays. He's pretty elite, like ridiculously elite. And we're just talking off air about Giannis winning defensive player of the year, 98th in blocks and 98th in steals. And
hold that thought. Let's plug first, and then we'll come back into it. As always, Spotify. We are on Spotify now. So if you listen to your podcast on Spotify, definitely get on that. Shout out to everyone that's listening on there, which is good to see. We're coming out live on Twitch at the moment. We'll probably go back to YouTube after this. It was fun to get a little foray into Twitch. Hasn't really taken off as we would have hoped, and it's a lot easier to kind of stream on YouTube. And we're also on YouTube as well as Podcast Addict on iTunes and SoundCloud if those are your preferred listening methods, or RSS feeds are available. And as always, nice. Like, share, and subscribe. We are on Twitter too, Oz NBA Takeover. I've been tweeting.
We're on Spotify. Mad.
We are. I have been tweeting out a little bit. It's fun. Just tweeting, talking shit.
It's cool.
I'm just going to tweet this out right now. It just made me think about the stream.
And the whole catalog's there.
It
nice.
Is. So, so like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. We appreciate the eyes and ears. And let's get down to business. Now, return to Ben Simmons, the all first team defense. I got a bit carried away and I was calling defensive player of the year before we started.
Should be.
Pump the brakes. But definitely between you and me, I think he should have been at least a candidate for defensive player of the year.
It's just weird how you look at the voting. I think he came third in voting. And it's just the perception around the league of Giannis being this defensive behemoth. And he is good on the highlight reel, but then you get down to the stats, and he's not in top 20 of deflections, 40th in blocks, 98th in steals. It's kind of like, what does he do? Is it more just a presence? Is it just like, oh, this guy is just amazing, we just got to give it to him? I don't know, man. This is the subjective nature of voting, I suppose, is that, you know, in a year, and we can talk about like the rookie of the year voting as well, and how that kind of was weird. Like how did 100 out of 100 not vote for Ja Morant? Like one guy voted for Zion being rookie of the year. Like,
yeah, that was stupid though.
He played like 10 games. Like what? Like this is. There's got to be a formula of like, okay, you've hit this criteria, now we vote for you. It's not just like, oh yeah, everyone voted for Giannis. It's like, well, look at the stats. I mean, look at the games. Some of the games that Ben won just on defensive plays alone were just magnificent to watch. Absolutely magnificent. So I'm very much looking forward to getting more of a taste of basketball with my team, Philly. But I don't even know what is happening. Like, apparently the draft's delayed, the next season's delayed. It's all just very weird, man. It's September and we're still not even in the finals yet. The world's gone mad.
It's just odd. Like it's throwing my clock out because NFL's starting this week, and you're just like, wait, what? But the NBA's still going on. Like, what the hell's going on? Like this doesn't make any sense. Usually, like the end of the season is capped by, okay, now we're looking at the draft, and now we're looking at some new teams and the trade window, and then we're back into the league again. But coming down the end of this season, like it's all still going. It's all still up in the air. There's draft stuff. Like touching on what the NBA have kind of pulled off here with the bubble, it's been really well done and well handled. Are they going to go into next season having to continue to bubble? Do we know that yet? We don't really know that.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to. I mean, look, we're gonna go into a bit of virus talk here. We're doing virus talk. Let's talk virus.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. I know fuck all about it, but that's all good.
The virus cases have dropped to about half what they were 2 months ago. So we don't know kind of what that means. And, one virus, one player positive is obviously going to bring down the bubble and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, I don't think you can go through an 82-game season or a 50-game season in a bubble. Like, these guys are playing every second day, man. That's just taxing on the body. You got to think
how like you can see it on these teams.
Like, it's just so taxing, and you could see it down the end of that Celtics Raptors game, man. That was just chunk city. No one was pulling off, strong drives. It was throwing hope, and that's how Kyle Lowry won that game. But
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's all good.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's. Oh, did you see the Jamal Murray interview where he's just like, "Oh man, we're playing on Thursday, but that's 2 days away." Oh, he was so distraught that he like, I think Denver won that game too, and he's just like, "Got to play again in 2 days." They're cooked, man. Like that's over. But you can't play 30 teams, 50 games in a bubble and make it work. Like, there's got to be breaks. There's got to be 4 days. I
think with more teams, they probably could get away with it. Like, you'd be able to space out the games a little bit more. Like, in a playoff scenario, it became like, it has become like the World Cup, where by the end of that World Cup, those two teams at the end of that, was it France and Spain?
Spain, yeah.
They were both just cooked, and you could tell the Aussies were cooked all the way at the end. We had a few NBA guys, and that was it. It was like, it was over. It's a similar, like still low key kind of like this. I'm like, war of attrition then. You go 10 deep on your rosters, like fatten out your rosters a little bit then. That's an interesting wrinkle to go into a new season. If it's in a bubble, it's like you're going to have to play 10 dudes now because of you playing every second day. So it just presents some sort of different things. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the NBA is going to do. I don't think they're going to be able to have people in arenas and stuff. Like, I think the NFL, like some of the arenas they can be in, but the others they can't and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just going to be pretty strange.
Well, it depends if it's a Democratic or Republic state and if it's open or not. No, it really is, man. It really is. Like, California, nothing's open still. We're now 6 months into this, and it's still locked down there. It's nuts to think that it's been locked down for that. This is what you get when you don't have a socialist healthcare system. You don't have any public resources to track cases. Like, and you're at the whim of what's going on. Like, we still have some sport in Australia. People can still go to some games in some states, some others they can't. But over there, it's like, well, the first game of the season, NFL, and everyone in Pittsburgh got the Rona. And it's winter time, and it's it's getting to that time of year, and you're just like, well, you've really got two choices here. You can play, and the NFL, man, they're large teams. They're not like an NBA team that has like 12 guys on a roster, a couple of trainers, a coach, and a few assistants. This is like 56-man rosters plus a practice squad roster.
Yeah,
and they've all got to try and stay virus free when you're tackling people.
Yeah.
How successful do you think that's going to be?
It could be a looming disaster. But you're right. I like that point about how there's almost kind of as many coaches in these NBA teams as there are players in the team. Like, there's an assistant, there's like some coordinators, there's, the athletic trainers. It's about sort of 20, 25 people to kind of corral. And we've already heard like rumblings of different things going on in the bubble where, breaking rules, et cetera, how lenient, I guess, could the NBA be over the course of like trying to corral the regular season? I don't know. I would just wonder sort of how this is going to really play out if they start the season in December, et cetera. Like,
I don't know, man.
Hard to sort of know.
It's hard to know. And it's hard to understand how you keep, West Coast teams on the East Coast and East Coast teams on the West Coast if there's two bubbles. Like, what do you do? Does Disneyland eventually have to open to like the public? Like, yeah, it's great the NBA are there, but does the public have to eventually go in there and like spend some money? I don't know. How does it work with salary cap when all those players' collective bargaining agreements are based on fans packing out stadiums every night of the week? 82 games a year. That's why they're getting paid so much. They're getting paid because there's 30,000 fans turning up every night in LA, Philly, Chicago, probably not so much Chicago, but you know what I mean? Like Miami, that's what pays their salary. So what, they go down to a 50-game season and still getting paid $44 million. What's fucking Chris Paul getting paid? Like 42 or something next season. So what do you get out of it? What do they get out of it? How is it going to work? I think they're just going to have to hope that these guys don't get viruses, or there's a vaccine or something that they mandate, or I don't even know. I don't even want to go down that path. But
yeah, it's gonna be very, very sort of strange. Again, like the feeling of kind of living through it. We're gonna look back on it and just go, oh, I remember that. Like, but at the same time, like living through it. Like I remember at the start of this, we were like, fucking the end of the world as we know it. Like everything's fucking. We could not even have sport for the rest of the year, and some sports came back. I just think too, like we should say that the NBA has done a fantastic job at least getting a product out there. Like as much as we're like fucking playing every second day, like they're cooked. Like this product's terrible. I'm just like, fuck, at least we got a product. Like holy shit, like at least these guys are in there playing basketball. But getting back to Simmons, he had 88 votes for first team. I think that was second highest after Giannis. So Giannis kind of getting those defensive player of the year bias maybe from that, you reckon?
Yeah, probably a little bit bias.
So you had those stats there. Do you know how many deflections Simmons had?
I think Simmons was second in deflections.
Yeah, because he had steals per game, was 2.1. So he had the most steals per game. If you look at Giannis' defensive, on the ladder of defensive prowess, he had the most defensive rebounds. I suppose that gets you a...
yeah, I suppose. But that's also when everyone gets out of the way. It's like Russell Westbrook winning Defensive Player of the Year because he's telling Steven Adams, get out of the way of my rebound. You know what I mean? Like
remember that? And now it's like, now he's just fucking trash for Houston at the moment. We'll get to that.
So
also, defensive win shares, Giannis had the best 5. And then defensive rating, 97.1 was the highest was Giannis.
Yeah, but that's advanced stats, and that's on a team that had 50-odd wins. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's nice, but just the way Ben plays the game, I think, is so much more prettier to watch. If you're looking at like a lockdown defensive and what he can do to guys on the perimeter, inside. He Giannis can't guard a guard. Like there's no way Giannis switches onto like Kemba Walker and successfully defends him. Whereas Ben Simmons can switch on to pretty much anyone in the league and shut them down, which I think you've got to take that into account. But it's great. I think if he keeps on that note, when his contract runs out, he would be technically in line for Supermax.
Yes, I think he is in line for that. He just signed the rookie max extension though, didn't he?
Yeah. He's got this is his first season. No, next year's his first season, I think.
Yeah, I think he's just signed it in preparation for next season. And then obviously we're looking at the cap, so they'll be all different. Like it'll be a just totally different scenario.
Oh, mate, who knows?
Max extension.
Yeah, that Philly team. That's a topic for the postseason. I think where do they go from there? That's a pod in itself.
Yeah.
But I think let's move on to the Bullockstradamus. I should have put money on it.
Let me throw this one at you just really quickly. Giannis wins MVP, right? While they're in the bubble before they go out.
Yeah.
Does that affect the fact that he wins Defensive Player of the Year? Do you think and I guess Simmons getting injured and not actually being in the playoffs?
No, because the voting was all season.
It's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, okay. We're kind of just fans speculating on this. I still feel that kind of carries a little bit of weight that, they kind of just got punted out of the playoffs. And I guess he's won MVP. So I was like, man, just give Simmons the fucking Defensive Player of the Year. He was clearly better.
What I don't get is that, they give the MVP for kind of like regular season, but I don't think that does it justice. You know what I mean? Like that really, the postseason, the regular season it's 82 games of blokes turning up half the time. And if your team turns up one night, then you win, and the next night you don't. I think that you really got to take some postseason into account for MVP, which I don't think they do.
No, it's a regular season award.
Yeah. And I think that's, you could look at Kawhi who plays 60 games, but he is the most valuable player in the league at the moment. Kawhi Leonard is the most valuable player in this league because he can take your team from nothing to a postseason. He can take your team from first round exit to a championship game. You know what I mean? Like,
he did it last year. It looks like he's probably going to do that this year. Although that Clippers team is a little bit better, but yeah. But all right, we'll get to the Clippers. Get back to your Bullets-Stradamus then.
Yeah, so I should have put my money on this. Miami 4-1 against the Bucks, Game 5. Middleton took it away from them in Game 4, but eventually, Giannis, no party. I like Miami, man. They've had an easy run. They've only played 9 games. They're going to come up against a very tired Boston or Raptors. I'm saying it's a Miami Lakers Clippers final. They're well coached. They've got some good defensive players. They've got some young shooters that can run all day, man. Tyler Hero down the stretch of that game was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just reminded me like of a 6'5" JJ Redick that can defend a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's, utterly absurd. I like it. The Bucks didn't like it. Don't really like it regular season either. Like, it's good, but I don't. It's not something like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch the Bucks. Like, they're not a fun team to watch, man. It's just Giannis pivoting down the lane and slamming over people. It's just like, or putting up ridiculous shots. And they're a shooting team. Like, shooters go on stretches and shooters don't go on stretches. And when Giannis goes down, and it's exactly like Philly, when Simmons goes down, they're not a team.
Yeah.
And
admittedly, as much as Middleton played really well in that game that they won, like the kind of like got out of the brother's kind of sleeper hold before the brother goes and then just grinds you back into the dirt.
Yeah.
You could tell that team had a hard time just going, but we play this way all year. Now, like, we're supposed to just play like a real team, and, Middleton handles the ball and he becomes like this shooting guard who creates and also scores. Like, you could tell that it just wasn't there. Like, you could tell they were trying to pivot to it. Even in that Game 5, like, they had this little stretch where you were just like, fuck, Miami could make this 3-2 here. Like, but then it just died. Like, you could tell these rotations weren't working properly. There's a lot of Lopez kind of from about 13 feet where you're like, don't put the ball on the floor and try and get to the hoop. Like, what are you doing? Create a play. And we've basically been seeing him shoot threes and kind of score in the post in the last couple of seasons. You could see this team doesn't have like a fallback. Like, it's not like a Miami where you can tell that team is just a bunch of balanced guys, some really good wings, really good defensive players, astute guys. Iguodala, man, was fucking fantastic defensively on Giannis and just in general. He had this steal at the end of the Game 5. It was just clean, but it looked too clean. Like, it was too clean, man. They gave it a foul. And they showed the replay, and like, the speed at which he brought his arm across and down just on the ball, or I think it was middle. Oh, no, I think it might have been Wesley Matthews going up to shoot. Just like a dude with these huge arms, like being able to just rip the ball down low. You're just like, fuck, man. And then if he can stay healthy, I think, they've got a huge shot in that Eastern Conference Finals. But yeah, I think they're gonna be fresher.
Coming off a good hype.
They're so balanced.
Yeah, they're such a balanced team, man. It's just like, okay, well, we can go really fast and small, and then we can kind of slow it down, maybe a bit of a Leonard Adebayo, Iguodala on the floor, beef up to big guys. They can get a bit of a Chubb shooting lineup as well, which is interesting. And there's a bit of the Dragic factor. He's been playing really well. He's been scoring the ball really smoothly, and that's half the battle. If you've got someone in your team that can take 20 points a night and score the ball efficiently, at 60, 70% shooting, then you're going to win most games. Like, that's just a no-brainer.
And taking some big boy shots too. Like, that's one thing I've noticed sort of across the wider bubble. Some guys are like making the wrong plays in these moments, and it probably comes back to that fatigue factor. Like, they're just not making the right play at that final moment where you're just like, you could have made this play and, really affected this series, but they didn't. But whereas Dragic, I think, has made a few like really good plays down the stretch of these games. And for a guy who's not like you know what Dragic does? He's a superstar and he makes those plays. Like, it's just great to see it all across that team. You just got all these guys that are just like not household names yet, like pulling out these like excellent performances to just make you go, man, respect, like top notch.
Low key, how happy were they today that the Toronto won? Just like, yes,
Yeah.
2 more days rest.
Oh,
4 days off. Get those bodies healthy.
Yeah, so we should just quickly pivot into that. The zombified corpse of Toronto rises again. Just how knife's edge is it that they get that they get the OG Anunoby 3, leaving us kind of being like, nah, they're still out of this series for sure. And then they bring it all the way back to 3-3. And in the last game, like to make it 3-2, like they looked awful.
They did look awful, and look, they looked awful this game. There was the stretch down kind of the last 5 minutes of the game was just flaming garbage bags. Daniel Tice getting some easy lobs, and then just people just getting missing. You know, some of them got trashed, but it was kind of like this is bad. And then Kyle Lowry kind of just throws up a heaping bag of crap to seal the win, falling, fading. It was just like it didn't even have any rotation on the ball, just a hoik. And but Kemba Walker had a terrible game. I think he scored like 5 or 6 points. Like it was just dreadful. And the Raptors have a low key, really good small ball lineup, like playing Anunoby at the 5. It really works against Boston. It kind of tricks them out of this fast game. And who was it? Was it Kawhi Leonard or someone said that Nick Nurse is just like a brainiac, mad scientist. Like he just does these ridiculous lineups that no one's just like, why would you put that on the floor? Oh, this is working. Let's just not play Gasol for the last 20 minutes. Oh yeah, this is really working. You know?
Yeah, there was heaps of different, like I heard, I've been listening to like Sports Center and stuff after the games because I've got it on while I'm working. So many of their comments are just like, I don't know what Nick Nurse was doing with these lineups. Like, you know, has he lost the plot, et cetera, et cetera. Yet here he is again. Did you see him in the corner at the end of this game? Like, pretty much on the court, basically. And then Tatum like threw a pass to him in the corner, but it just went out of bounds because he wasn't he wasn't a player. Fucking hell, genius. But this series, man, still has been just coaching, fucking chess. Like, I'm moving here, I'm moving there, I'm moving here, we're moving it here, we're moving it back here. All the games have been super close, except that obviously that last game was a massive blowout because basically Toronto couldn't score. But Toronto again today couldn't really score in the first half. And then Boston just lost it. You just were like, go back to what you were doing, like running this pick and roll with Tice. Jaylen Brown, you know, was quite solid. And then Tatum kind of just died down the end of this game. He had a couple of bad turnovers.
Tired, man. They're just tired. You can see it. And you know what? The freshest team is going to win this league.
Lowry played 53 minutes.
Yeah, man.
That's nuts. Also, all through this series, but at these points, I've just been like, how many fucking minutes have you been playing? Like, no wonder you guys have fucking died in that game 5. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you guys are just tired as fuck. Like, why are you playing like 46 minutes every night? And then, like, it comes to this game, and you just like, they just keep going and going and going.
They energize the bunnies.
It's crazy.
Must be that Orlando sunshine.
Siakam 54 minutes. Far out.
Yeah, that's nuts. That is nuts. Should we pivot to the West? Move it to the West.
So what do you reckon? Game 7 in that?
I think Toronto taken, man. I think that this is Boston done. I think that Toronto found a will to win this game, and
do you reckon Celtics have a little bit of the "are we really pretenders or not" type? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Toronto has like an understanding of itself in this series, but like now at this crunch time, the Celtics have kind of this like, are we really ready yet for it?
I think it's a couple of things. I think Kemba Walker is a very feast or famine player and always has been. And I think Jaylen Brown and Marcus might have been solid players. I don't think the Celtics have as great a depth as Toronto. And I think Nick Nurse has figured out how to kind of slow their game down. And that was one thing that Philly couldn't do, was figure out how to slow Boston down. You know, they were just running out in transition fast. There was no one to defend because Philly too cumbersome big. But that OG Anunoby at the 5, man, that was just sweet coaching. Tice got a little bit, but it just means that they pretty much negated Tice in the pick and roll because Anunoby could always get up to him and they could work around the screen pretty easily. There's not this big lumbering center trying to get out of the way.
And Tice has been good in this series, man.
Yeah, Tice has been good, but taking too many 3 shots, man. Like, no, just put that in the back. Put that in the back.
He was 0 of 1 today. He was 9 of 11 on the night. So was that 9 of 10 basically from inside the 3-point line?
Yeah, exactly.
If they had another Tice, if Cantor was playing at the level of Tice, it would be a different series. You know what I mean? They just don't really have another center to really go to. Like it's Time Lord, and Time Lord's been all right in this series.
If I was Brad Stevens, I would have fucking thrown out Taco Fall because I'm honestly now. This is the reason why
still on that train.
I'm on the Taco train, man. I love Taco. He's hilarious.
It's Taco Thursday.
But have you seen the video of him? I think Jaylen Brown and who was it? Marcus Smart teaching him how to swim.
Oh God, imagine that, man.
Fucking 7-foot dude trying to teach him how to swim. It's just like he's already halfway down the 15-meter pool. You think about it, you can play him as you can feed. Everyone's really tired, right? Outside shots aren't falling. Guys are struggling. You can feed into the taco. You can funnel the defense into the low block. And you're essentially trying to make someone make a really difficult decision, right? They're going to have to either shoot in the mid-range because no threes were falling at the end of that game. They're too tired. So you're going to have to shoot in the mid-range, which is low percentage, or you're going to have to try and go up against Taco, who is a block specialist. Let's be real. On the offensive end, you've essentially got someone you could lob into against Anunoby and nothing can be done.
Will he get rinsed on defense, though?
You just have him in the low block. Switch him out. He will get rinsed, but you just have him in the low block against Tice. Tice isn't that quick.
He's played a total of no minutes in this series.
No. I mean, it's first season. He
Bring
was
him
like,
out, Brad.
Bring out the target. But it's one of those things that like Nick Nurse will overthink that and just not know what to do. Or just like, it's just 2 minutes, throw out Taco and just watch the world explode. That's my theory.
That'll be interesting to see what happens in Game 7. I'd like to see that.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but it would be interesting because, Time Lord has been not too bad. I think he's about 85% or 87% for the series from the field, a couple of jumpers, mainly everything at the rim. Defensively, quite solid, but they're just missing. If they had a clone of Tice in their lineup, that's kind of what they're really missing in this series.
Yeah,
because once kind of Tice comes off the floor, they just have to change the scheme a little bit too much, and it's allowing Nurse to kind of just like, find that needle just underneath the armor, cop some of that. But yeah, all right. What should we move to? What are you feeling? We move to the. There's a slight pulse on the Nugs.
Yeah, that's.
No, actually, they're dead now. Actually, no, it was like we tried to defibrillate Denver, but actually, no, it didn't. It failed, and now they're just dead now.
Kawhi Leonard. Did you see the block on Murray? Was it Murray?
Yeah, one finger. That was nuts. Like it wasn't really one finger. He kind of caught it with the underside of his hand. But again, it sort of shows you those fine margins of a guy dunking a ball. Just the tiniest little deflection can kind of deflect it enough for a guy to miss a dunk. But admittedly, like Denver, I think they're just kind of just out of gas. But at the same time, they kind of found something with that pick and roll with Jokic and Murray. It's just like if they had like something to throw to as well, like we'll run that with throw to this to keep up the momentum and the pressure. But they just don't. Like they've got nothing apart from that. It's like that's it.
They've got no one that has good off ball movement to throw out the Clippers defense. They're all kind of stationary set shooters. I feel like that's like Miami's secret weapon is Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero can literally just run all day and just throw that switch out, whereas Denver can't throw the switch out, and it's really easy to switch off and switch back on against Denver, and they haven't really got a lot of fast guys that can move quickly in transition. And
so you have the wings, yeah.
They just don't have the wings. So you're pretty much stuck with the Jokic or Jokic pick and roll with Murray, and Murray hasn't scored a hell of a lot this series.
17 points per game so far. It doesn't have the today's game on the stats, but you can tell that like beyond Jokic and Murray, kind of like Millsap, Porter, Monte Morris, Grant, Harris, Craig, Plumlee. It's like a first round exit level. Those guys are first round exit level type of guys. Yeah. Michael Porter, you can tell he's a 20-year-old, and he gets rinsed on defense. Like if you really target him, like he got rinsed in that third game. And if you really target him, you can rinse him on defense. But it's understandable. Like he's a young guy, and he's probably not ready for prime time. He's probably about 4 or 5 years away from really reaching his peak. He had a really good game offensively. He had a couple of like nice dunks. He had that dunk on Harrell where Harrell tried to take a charge. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, stop that. But admittedly, the Clippers and then Kawhi today, it's just like, you're just like, you're not going to make that fucking 26-footer slightly off balance. 2 guys are fucking all over you. And it's like, swish. And you're just like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, get out of here. But at the same time, though, like I tweeted out, man, if I wanted anyone to take like a 26 sort of rainbow jumper, it'd be fucking Jokic. Because whenever they leave him, man, he shoots these jumpers that are just so pure. Just
completely go up into orbit and come back down and just whoosh.
And it's been kind of Harrell has kind of been not necessarily the offensive X factor, but like he's had an impact on slowing down Jokic. And in this, like admittedly in this series, I've seen something from Jokic where I've gone, all right, like if you in the off season, like work on your body, work on your power a little bit and sacrifice maybe some passing or some, I don't know, sacrifice something out of your game. Like you could be a lot better. He could be a lot better player.
Yeah.
They've got to add some wings though that could kind of handle and screen for him and get him open shots, because when they get him open looks, he can knock them down like all the way to the 3-point line basically. But
yeah,
he just doesn't have the juice to run pick and roll like all the time. You know what I mean? Like you can't just go dial up pick and roll, dial up pick and roll, dial up pick and roll. And that's the kind of like, that's the thing, that's the only real thing that's going to get you an advantage against the Clippers in this series. It's like 2 pick and rolls and you're just like, I'm out, sub me,
Ray Puff
style, like sub me out, I'm out. And it was something they got away with in the Jazz series a little bit. Like they kind of got away with that. Him just being like, I'll just do nothing at the end of these games. Like it's all good. And then suddenly he came up big at the end of that game 7. They can't do it in this Clippers series. It's not going to happen. And then Paul George has come back and obviously looked a lot better. It kind of just played Paul George into form.
Which is what they need to do, because they're not going to win a series without him, really. Like, even as much as Kawhi can, I just don't think that good. That good.
Yeah, so time of death on that series, I think.
Time of death, 10th of the 9th, 2020, 9:46, called.
Let's move to the Lakers and Houston. I think my Ben Stradamus of just like, man, I'm worried about these Lakers, has been put to bed.
Yeah, LeBron is timeless, man. He's just,
the dude is nuts.
Just he wants it, and I don't know if the other players on his team want it, but he wants it.
He's just taking shots to where you're just like, no, LeBron, no, and he hits it. Like, damn, all right. Like these weird, like bump, turn, like on the reverse over the shoulder jumpers where you're just like, what is that shot, man? Like, what is that? And sometimes like he'd be in the corner and just like he had this one on this corner where on PJ Tucker where he like little sauce, little in, out, left, right, and then like step back jumper. I'm like, no. Oh, he's knocked it down. Sweet. Like, all right, nice.
Here's LeBron.
What's your take on obviously Covington getting injured? That was pretty bad. Like that looked like a bad hit to the face, bleeding everywhere. But what's your take on this Rockets team so far in this series?
They were never built to beat the Lakers. That was the weird thing. Like they just went, oh, we're just going small ball. Look, they're going to have a pretty much a lights out shooting night to beat the Lakers, I think. I think they're just Portland part 2, really.
Yeah, I really like Covington, and I think he's the kind of one that's holding holding on at least a shred of respect for that Houston team. Like the other guys, I just can't. Like if Covington wasn't there and playing well, and I didn't have a like of Covington because he doesn't flop, because he doesn't go into the bullshit, he defends hard. He's had a really good series against them. But now if he's out, like I think the same shit's going to resurface about Houston where I'm just like, fucking Tucker just elbowing dudes. Fucking Eric Gordon like complaining every fucking drive. Harden, man, he in the game one, he was good. But in these last two games, he kind of looks, I don't know, not quite all there. Gassed maybe.
Yeah, I think even the best players, I don't even know how LeBron does it, to be honest with you. 36 points, game still there.
Some tough ass shots, man.
Like younger men are flailing, and he's this 36-year-old just like, yeah, no, I'm still a fucking beast, and still getting to him, still going for the block as well. I don't know, man. He's been pretty good defensively.
Those chase down blocks, man. Like I can't. I think he had 3 of them in one game, and then he had one crazy one at the end of the third quarter. In the last game where I think he blocked. Who was it? Rivers, I think, went up for the layup. And then, what's his name? Tice, but on the Lakers. No, what's his name? Caruso was not boxing out, and he fucking ripped him, like turned around, just like fucking, like box out. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then you kind of go, man, leadership, like, because I was saying after that game one, like, remember when he was sitting on the sideline? There was this like wide shot of the entire court and him sitting on the sideline. Like I just have that stuck in my mind of like, if they lose this series, that's going to become like an all-time iconic photograph of like, there's a scrap on, LeBron's just sitting on the sideline and everyone's kind of like scrapping. You know what I mean? Like it's going to tell you like, it paints a picture of like, fuck, LeBron's not with this team, man. Like, you know what I mean? But they've just responded. Game 2, though, they played super quickly. And then game 3, Anthony Davis too, we should talk about him. 26 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists. He's unguardable, man.
Yeah. First game he got absolutely trounced by PJ Tucker, but I think he's come. He didn't score a point against PJ Tucker defensively.
Yeah, he didn't go off the catch. In this game, he went off the catch a lot more.
Well, that's trying to goose step your way, or not goose step, but a little fake jab, pull up. Yeah, just grab the ball and start moving, man. No one's going to stop you.
Just you got to get it and go. That was actually one thing in this last game. I noticed that only LeBron was exploiting the fact that if the paint was open, like he would know to catch, move, go, like off a one-step fake, left, right, and then drive. No other player could like recognize that while they're on the court. It was crazy. Like even Davis really couldn't recognize the fact that all he needed to do was kind of catch, turn, go past off of 1 foot. I think he had one lob actually that he did it, where it was Rondo, I think, like threw him this sweet lob. But that's just how you beat this Rockets team, man. Like what you got to do is you got to like isolate the paint, sort of make sure they're cleared out, and then kind of go at the paint. It'll be interesting to see how down the stretch, if they can keep making shots. Like Caldwell Pope hit 2 of 6 in this game, and 2 important threes. Like they weren't just like, 2 of 6, that's not a great night, but they were like 2 important threes. One to kind of keep him in it in the second quarter, and then in the third quarter he hit one to kind of like tie the game up, where it looked like the Houston might go on a run. JaVale McGee, who I said is probably going to play well in this series, is just like, you're unplayable, bro. But he just spazzes out, man, on the perimeter. I'm just like, overcommits. Like it's like Rudy on steroids, man. It's just like, JaVale, stop overcommitting, thinking you can play on the perimeter. So he got hooked. He only played 6 minutes, but he did some good bench supporting. Danny Green has looked pretty awful in this series too.
Yeah, he's old, man. He's old.
But he's not big enough as well. Like you can tell he's just like not thick enough. Like you don't have the power to get through these guys like McLemore and House and Covington. Like you just get smothered. He's just too small. And Caruso as well. At least Caruso's kind of quick. Like Danny Green's not that quick. Caruso can kind of sort of speed his way through these lineups. And Kuzma's actually been quite good. It's actually been a Kuzma that's not. He's on an island. He needs to like do something and be mature about this play. And then he was a kid and he fucked it up. Like he's been getting put in these situations where it's like, Kuz, all you need to do is like back down, like 1 step dribble, turn, shoot. And you're like, good. That's the kind of Kuz that I want to see. He's hit a couple of nice threes. Had a couple of big buckets on Tucker. 14 points in this game, 7 of 10. And then Rondo, we should talk quickly about Rondo. He's returned to the bubble.
Returned and returned with a bit of passion, a bit of fire, a bit of spark. And pretty jacked too, man. He got jacked.
And a little Bullock-Stradamus. I'm pretty sure you on the last episode were like, man, Rondo. Like, trust me, Rondo, they give the ball to Rondo. You can make something happen.
Yeah, it's a much better than a KCP, and it's a better outfit. It's like two guys that now can see the floor better than anyone in the Western Conference. Rondo's passing is pretty impressive, and then LeBron, who can just see everyone. It's
kind of the right foil for beating a Houston team. You know what I mean? Like, if
there's
you
enough
have
grub in there too. Like, there's not a lot of grub in the rest of the Lakers, but Rondo's got a good amount of grub in him that needs to come up against this Houston team. That Chris Paul fight still gets me.
Yeah, they're just throwing haymakers at each other. That was great. Perfect, man. Perfect encapsulating moment too. I didn't expect the 8 of 11 from the field from Rondo, 3 of 5 from 3, but the 9 assists were super important. There was a couple of really big lobs. His ability, like, to play as a point guard and just catch Houston napping, especially off of Westbrook too. Like, he's so good at like switching onto Westbrook and then noticing, help off a one dribble Westbrook, bang, 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 here you go, and suddenly someone gets a dunk. And that was what Golden State was so good at when they beat Houston in those series. Like, they were so good at just identifying, picking a guy off and just being like, helping off a one man, bang, bang, play, there you go, there's a bucket at the rim. And that a lot of that was Dre, but I think I still am not 100% convinced about this Lakers team.
Not really 100% convinced about everyone, are you? Someone's got to win it.
I know, but just when you said Houston can just have a night where they just go nuts, I'm just like, oh yeah, that could be the 2-2, and then you never know where it could go from there.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to go from there. They could have a night that goes isn't nuts, but they'd have to be up 2-1 for that to make it count. I think down 2-1. Unless they bring it back to even, I'll say but I think that the Lakers will take this next game tomorrow pretty easily.
Fuck, Westbrook had 30 points in this game, 13 of 24. I felt like he didn't have a great game.
Yeah, because he's defensively shit.
Yeah, a lot of breakdowns.
A lot of stupid turnovers, and a lot of just...
3 turnovers in this game. I think he had a fair few in the other game, but...
9, I think?
He had 7.
7.
And then Harden had 5. But they're dumb turnovers too, man. They're just stupid. And why does he go off glass? I was texting you that. Like, he goes off glass for the most ridiculous shots. Like, Westbrook pulls up from 16 out on the wing, goes glass. You're like, what the fuck, man? Just shoot a proper jumper. Like, what are you doing? But he like, they're just stupid turnovers. Like,
yeah.
And then I feel like in every series against a team with Westbrook in it, you can always just kind of go, let him do what he's doing, you know. Just let him go. Let him go. He'll fuck it up eventually. And then, you know, he had the fuck up in the OKC series. But yeah, I don't know. I still, it'll be interesting to watch tomorrow anyway.
It will be.
We got anything else? Anything else? Yeah, we'll probably wrap it there when we'll be back on the weekend.
Yeah, I think after this Boston series, let's talk this Boston series and talk some NBA rumors.
Yeah, sweet.
All right.
As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, on Spotify. Now we're also on Spotify, so make sure if you're using Spotify, go over and check us out there. iTunes Podcast Addict on SoundCloud. And as always,
we're out.
See you guys on the next episode. Take it easy, everyone.
See ya.